Next up, we have Bobbie. Bobbie is calling from Tennessee. Bobbie, welcome to Stay Paid.
Bobbie, welcome to Stay Paid. It is great to have you. Can you share kind of how long you've been in the business, and then what is your biggest struggle right now with growing your business or pain point, that question we can answer for you?
Yeah, so I have been in the business for 5 years now, and I work, I'm based out here in Middle Tennessee. It's nice to have repeat customers, but, I would like to be able to lead generate, I guess, better. And it would be, I guess my question would be, is how can I turn all of the great tools that Reminder Media in general has, like the magazine, social media content, emails, and landing pages, all that, into more like a cohesive lead generation strategy that actually drives conversions.
Yeah, what is, just out of curiosity, Bobbie, like what's your 2024 numbers look like, and then what does this year numbers look like for you?
2024 was really slow for me, but it's picking up. I have a few listings going right now, so it is picking up. But 2024 was not a good year for me.
Okay.
So what's the goal this year?
I would like to I'd like to double what I had last year. So,
what was the volume last year?
Last year I had only 5 closings.
5 closings.
Yeah.
Do you, like, volume wise, is that $1.5 million, or is that like what's the price range, stuff like that? What's the
I probably was at about 1.2 last year.
1.2 million. Okay, volume was okay, awesome. And have you closed any deals this year so far?
Nope, just have some listings and haven't had any closings yet. So
how are you feeling right now?
I am hopeful. I'm seeing more closings. I'm getting a lot of calls on the listings I have, but I see activity and it is picking up. So that's why, I would like to be able to capture, use all of the things that are offered with Reminder Media to kind of capture more, lead generation, the people out there.
Yeah, this is such a good question. Go ahead.
So what's your current lead generation strategy? I know you said you base primarily on Sphere and Repeat, which is great. What's the action-based plan that you have currently that you do?
Well, I've send, like, I've gotten also downloaded from just the addresses that are most likely to buy.
Yes.
And, I've used some of the postcards and some of the hot ones. I feel like I send some magazines out and some of the email and things like that to them. So.
Yeah, I mean, I would say,
but you're primarily you're primarily focused. You have magazines going, you have our content going, you have emails going. So primarily focused on Sphere in your kind of actions from a marketing standpoint. But in a market like this, and I think, Stephen, you guys can attest to this too, it's like we're in an interesting market because if you look at it, majority of the nation is sitting on less than a 4% interest rate. Interest rates, depending on what time you're listening to this, is going to be around 6% or so, actually a little higher right now. So there is a lack of people moving, which is translating to your Sphere doesn't produce as much right now from just passive marketing because they don't have this urgency to move because of where the numbers are at. What I tell people all the time is you have passive brand building marketing, and then you have proactive lead gen, like capturing. And so your passive brand building is where you really want to focus for the long term, is what you need to be investing in. Because look, to be rich, you do direct response. To be wealthy, you build a brand. All the Fortune 500 companies out there, they have a brand that they've built. They're not necessarily cold calling all day long. You're coming to them now, right? Because they've built this brand. So you're doing all the right things to do that with your Sphere. But what can you do today to go get a lead? And that would be the proactive outreach. So that would be the things like, what does your calendar look like every single day in your proactive conversations around real estate? So if you had to tell us how many combos are you having a day about real estate, how many would that be, would you say? Just your best guess.
Oh gosh. I'd probably say, 25 at least per day. I mean, I do
Wow.
open houses and I'm out there like, actually I just try to meet people and just get out there every day, in my day-to-day life.
But
How-
if
how-
you're doing 25 a day, I mean, that's really, really good.
That's
You know,
phenomenal.
so you have a problem with follow up, is what you have a problem with, and following up with a value proposition. And so, what does that look like for you? So you're saying you're holding open houses. You know, how many open houses do you hold, and then how many leads are you getting from each open house? Would you say?
So, and it's funny because I do partner with another agent that does new construction, and I do a lot of open houses for them.
Oh,
And I do capture a lot of leads from that. And it's just I have trouble getting the people to, they're interested at the time and they're willing to give me their information.
Sure.
And just can't get them to, respond back, or
Yeah.
it's just
when you call next?
market. I've never been in such a predicament.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so funny because we talked to a new agent the other day, and I'm like, you're doing everything right, Carson. You're doing everything right. It's always the small nuances in business that matter so much. So what he was alluding to, with the last question is like, what's your next follow-up look like? You definitely have to go back. We just did a webinar on this, Luke. I don't know if you can send it to her.
Yep.
But on open houses, what the follow-up needs to look like. So first off, when at the open house, you have to set up expectations that you're going to follow up.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to go for the close at the open house. Because when you go for the close, and you know this, I mean, you're a veteran in the business, right? When you go for the close, people are going to give you their true objection. So right now you're getting all the information. People are being, happy-dory. They're like, yeah, this is a beautiful house. This is great. And I'm like, okay, well, if it's a beautiful house, are you ready to go? You know what I mean? You're ready to make an offer? Oh, no. I'm not ready to make an offer. It's like, well, tell me what you guys didn't like about the house. Because what's important to me is you guys' goals. This is not about me, right? What do you guys want? And then when they dial into, well, we have a house to sell, we're buying this as a vacation rental, but, are you looking for income producing? Are you looking to, come here once, twice a year? What are you looking for? And then once you get the data, we need to meet. We need to meet. What does your schedule look like after this open house? Right. So I think back to Luke's point about like taking action-based steps, you're just going to have to be an animal about going for the close and going for it sooner. And you'll filter out all the bad ones. Like we talked about, it's like not every open house lead is going to be good, but I'd rather know it there at the open house than if waiting and trying to follow up and not knowing if they're real and having to give them 25 calls, a day, right, to find out they're not real. I'm going to pick out the one or two that are real and go and get them signed, get them to the office. So one point for you, try to get an appointment right after the open house. And if you can't get it, it don't matter. You set up expectations. Well, I'm going to follow up with you. Then you follow up right after the open house because it's the same thing. Speed to lead is so important, and you need to just have that speed to follow up in your business.
That's so funny that you say that because I used to sell cars for a living years and years ago, Volkswagens and such. But, it was easy for me to do that then. And I guess I never really think about translating that to real estate.
Yeah. We were in an easy market, 2020, 2021,
Oh my God.
3% interest rates, low inventory.
Anybody could be good in those markets.
Right. Yeah. You just got to get back to the basics, and that's our message for people right now is get back to the basics, and it's action based. You got to get back to action.
And whatever you're doing, you need to do 10x of it because you're barely scratching the surface.
Right.
And that's whether in your dials and amount of follow up and the amount of emails you send. And like to your point, Steve, the aggressiveness of how you go for the close. There's too much fluff out there and there's too much lack of activity. And like, where are you guys at, Cody, closed and pending to date right now with Acre Brothers?
109, I believe, right?
Yep, 109.
Yep. So 109. And so that's in this market. And it's a tough market. Like you guys would say, I know one of your top producers on the team I talk to every week, and he was saying that this is harder than last year. And last year was really hard. But I mean, the guy closed 13 in April and he's saying it's hard, but it is the religiousness of the follow-up and every single day. Like I would challenge that if you're having 25 conversations a day, just keep doing that and you will be successful. But if you're not having 25 productive conversations, maybe you can hone into that. But anybody who tells me they're actually having 25 conversations a day, well, you're just not doing it long enough. Just keep going the way you're going and you will win. Because I'm talking to agents all day long and there's no way the majority of agents are having 25 combos a day.
Yep.
And so just try to be way more direct and transparent about what you're looking for from both your sphere and the leads that you're working with, because I see this across the board in industries from a marketing and sales standpoint. Consumers no longer want fluff.
Mm-hmm.
Consumers no longer want to feel like you're trying to educate them or give them value with nothing in return, because consumers are educated enough to know, no, you want to be my real estate agent. No, you want to sell me this product. No, you got to be straightforward in your communication and give the education and give the value. But it used to be all you had to do is give value and people would funnel in. Consumers have been educated now. They know what you're doing when you're funneling them that way. So you're better off stating exactly what you're going after and still give. And that's what brings it to success. So i.e. Steven's example of the open house, let's make an offer on this house if you love it.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I don't really love it. Okay, perfect. Then we need to definitely meet. And it's like being very direct of what you want. Bobbie, this has been fantastic. You should definitely hook up with us on social because one, we appreciate you being a user of Reminder Media. We want to make sure you are successful. And then also, like, if we can help you in other ways and get a little bit more detailed or nuanced on this, we can set up calls afterwards and stuff like that. But really appreciate you coming on Stay Paid and sharing your thoughts.
Thank you so much. That was really eye-opening, what you said about going in for the close, because, I've done it in the past. I just never translate to.
Yeah, and we have an open house playbook too that has scripting that we use, like with specific verbiage and everything, to get that follow up. So definitely get a hold of that too.
Yep. So we'll give you that. If you can connect with us, we want to hook you up with a bunch of stuff for coming on, and really appreciate you. And let's go crush it in 2025. Let's make it happen.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Thanks. See you, Bobbie.
Bobbie.
Bye.
Bye.